Hey guys, welcome back to My Sports Vice. This is Jeff. Pretty excited. Week 1 starts tomorrow. The NFL is finally here. Hopefully you guys are all done with your drafts. You're probably at the latest would be, I guess, tonight. So I had my last draft on Monday night, and that's one of the two leagues that I play for money in, and that's a weird league. It's 8 teams, PPR, and 2 quarterbacks. So that was I do it with a friend of mine. We have the team together, and man, we ended up with the number 1 pick, and so we were thinking about taking a quarterback because last year in the draft, I think 5 quarterbacks went in the first 10 picks, and so we were worried that having number 1 and then having number 16 that we wouldn't get a top flight. We wanted a top flight quarterback, and it was either going to be Rodgers or Newton. So we were considering taking Rodgers. We had settled on Rodgers for the first pick, and then I changed my mind, and we flipped a coin on who was going to get to make the first pick between the two of us, and I went off sheet there, and I went and got Beckham, and I've started. The more I've thought about it throughout the draft process, I haven't had the number 1 pick through all my other drafts. So I went with Beckham instead of Brown. And then the thing about it is, it came all the way around back to us at 16, and Rodgers was still there. And so we took Rodgers and Breeze. So I'm in a 2 quarterback league with Beckham, Rodgers, and Breeze. So the rest of the team just falls into place after that. So that was a pretty good draft for us. We'll be doing all right in that league. I hope your drafts went good. No major injuries just came out of nowhere. I mean, most of the injuries that are current right now have been on the books for a while, so there haven't been any surprises. Jimmy Graham is confirmed to not play this week. He really has dropped in the draft rankings. People have not been picking him up. I picked him up in a couple leagues and hope that when he comes back, he does well. We all know that Effort's out for probably the first 6 to 8 games. Romo, of course. Ben Watson's out for the season. Bridgewater's done for the season. Carlos Hyde is questionable for Monday night with a concussion. Jamal Charles, it doesn't look like he's going to play, but they haven't confirmed that yet. Matt Jones is probably going to play for the Redskins on Monday night. He's got a shoulder problem. Kendall Wright, the wide receiver for Tennessee, he's out for Sunday with a hamstring, and Jimmy Graham, like I said, is out. So not a bunch of key injuries. Of course, those injuries will start stacking up this week. I keep it up on the website, mysportsvice.com. On the front page, I have a suspensions and injury sheet right there on the front, right below my rankings. And every week I'll do rankings, top 12. There are 12-team leagues. Everybody has a 12-team team. So I do the top 12, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So if you look at this week's, it's really out of the norm. I moved a lot of people around. I've got Derek Carr at number 3 in the quarterback rankings because I think him and Breeze are going to go at it on Sunday. It's going to be a high-scoring game. And I have Rodgers at number 5. It's all matchup-based. I've got Newton at number 7. I think Denver's really going to come out solid tomorrow night. And, I mean, I'm not saying not to start Newton, but I think he'll have a mediocre night. And then I got Stafford in the top 10. I think he's going to have a good day. I think they're going to have a shootout in Indianapolis. No other real surprises. I moved Amari Cooper up to number 4 because of that shootout they're going to have in New Orleans. And I've got Delaney Walker at number 3. I also like Kyle Rudolph at tight end. Well, let's get into all that. I've got what to watch for. That's what the name of this podcast is, what to watch for week 1. I'll be doing this every week, and then I'm going to do another short one for DraftKings value picks. Okay, what to watch for? I keep up with my fantasy leagues up here. Last year, my free leagues I went 33-19, and in my money leagues I went 19-7. I was in a total of 6 leagues. I was in the playoff. I made the playoffs in all 6 of my leagues, and I went to 3 championship games, and I won 2 of them. One of them for money, the other one was free. And then, so I'll keep a tally on that. I think I went a little crazy this year. I'm in 9 leagues this year, and I think 8 of them are PPR. So I had some pretty good drafts. And when I do that, I try to draft a lot of the same players. I'm a little concerned because I drafted A.J. Green in almost all those leagues. And I'm really worried that there's no other weapons on the team, that he'll get smothered by coverage and won't have as big a year. He'll get his targets, that's for sure, but I guess we'll have to see. I have the high-scoring games of the week this week. The game of the week is going to be the Raiders at the Saints. So if Breeze, Ingram, Cooks, Snead, Fleener, those are all going to be good plays. Don't forget about Michael Thomas. He's the rookie draft pick, and they're really speaking highly of him in the preseason. So he might even be a nice little flex play, or somebody if you want to play in DraftKings or something, because you can get him at a really cheap price. And on the Oakland side, you got Carr, Murray, Cooper, Crabtree. Those will all be good plays. That's going to be the high-scoring game of the week, I think. The other high-scoring games, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. There's a lot of scoring to be had there. The Giants and the Cowboys, whenever they get together, no matter who's on the team, they score a lot of points. So that should be a high-scoring game. Detroit at Indianapolis will be a high-scoring game, and I like the Pittsburgh-Washington game on Monday night to be a high-scoring game. So if you've got players in there on those teams, it's something you might want to consider. Week 1's the hardest week to predict because you just don't know what's going to happen. And you can base a lot of your information on how teams did last year, and that was always my theory with picking kickers. Is like, well, last year, he kicked such and such, 46 attempts or whatever it was, and say, well, most teams, they don't like kicking field goals. Okay, so if they were kicking a bunch of field goals last year in the offseason, they probably did something free agency wise or draft wise to increase their chances of scoring more touchdowns. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to kick as many field goals this year as they did last year. And the same goes for the defense. The Saints gave up 45 touchdown passes last year. You think they'll do that again this year? It'll be close because I really haven't seen them improve that much. But that's what I'm saying is week 1's really hard to predict when it comes to things like predicting who, comparing it to last year's stats. Because, if they have like really big weaknesses, they spend the offseason trying to fix those weaknesses. So you just never know. As far as quarterbacks this week, I already talked about how Cam is going to have a mediocre day, I think. Breeze and Carr, I think they're going to combine for 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm hoping fun game to watch. Stafford, I think he'll throw for 350 against Indy. Indy's defense is weak. And then Cousins, I think if you've got Kirk Cousins, he's probably not your starter. And if your starter has a bad matchup, you might want to consider starting him this week because I think he's going to try to have to keep up with Ben Roethlisberger, and he's going to go over 300 yards, maybe 3 touchdowns. So I think he's a good play. Running backs, stay away from C.J. Anderson this year. I think he's going to have a good, or no, I'm sorry, not this year, this week. I think he's going to have a good year. But tomorrow, I don't think he's going to run that well. It's going to be a defensive matchup. Those are 2 of the best defenses in football. And that's the reason they were in the Super Bowl. And I think C.J. Anderson's going to have a good year, but I don't think he'll do well tomorrow. If Jamal Charles doesn't play on Sunday, I would pick Spencer Ware over Kendrick West. They act like they're going to platoon, but I think Ware would be the one that's going to get the most carries. Ryan Matthews, that's somebody to watch out for, especially in daily leagues. That'll be on my other podcast, but he's going off relatively cheap. Cleveland had a horrible run defense last year. I don't see them doing a whole lot to improve on that. I think he's going to run a lot, and because they have a rookie quarterback back there, he'll also be involved in the passing game. So Ryan Matthews is a good play tomorrow or Sunday, and then they really haven't talked too much about the running back situation in Jacksonville, and it's Ivory is coming in, and they had T.J. Weldon he was like the first round draft pick from 2 years ago, and he didn't do that well last year. I think if they get inside the red zone, if they get to the 3 or 2 yard line, goal line situations, it's Ivory that's going to get the ball. So if they find themselves in that situation, you might be able to get a couple touchdowns out of Ivory. I also like James White. He's stepping in for Dion Lewis for New England. Arizona's got a good defense. You can't run between the tackles with them, which they will try with Blunt. But White is slippery. He can run outside. He catches a lot of passes. They use him almost in like a Darren Sproles kind of situation. And I think he's a sneaky pick, James White. And then D'Angelo Williams. I think he's going to have a pretty good night on Monday night. Washington gave up an average of 5 yards per carry last year. And he stepped in well last year for Le'Veon Bell. I don't see why he won't do that on Monday night. Wide receivers, I like Amari Cooper and Snead. We've already talked about that. I think Cooper's going to have a big day. And I like Snead. Cooks is good, but Snead tends to get more intermediate shots and breaks them. So I think he'll have a good day. As far as the Packers go, I like Cobb this week over Nelson. Nelson hasn't seen any action since he was hurt last year. No action whatsoever. So I think that he's basically going to be on a pitch count, and then I think he's going to be more of a decoy than anything else. And I think that's going to leave Cobb open. I think Cobb has a big day. Another big day for somebody would be Mohamed Sanu. He's new in Atlanta. Julio Jones will be drawing all the attention, as he always does, and I think that's going to open Sanu up, and he'll have a big day. They're at home against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got a mediocre defense. Sanu will have a big day, I think. And same with Kamir Aiken. Steve Smith, I think he's going to try to play. The other kid, Berryman, nobody knows anything about him because he's always hurt. And then Benjamin Watson. So I think Aiken is going to have a big day against Buffalo. And then Michael Floyd, I think he'll have a big day. The Pats have had some trouble on defense in the offseason. They just lost Nikovic. He's out for 4 games for PEDs. They let some guys go. I mean, Belichick's a genius, but he's only got so much to work with. And I think they're gonna find some holes in that defense Sunday night. That'll be a good game to watch. But I like Michael Floyd in that game. All my tight ends are a little bit weird. I like Rudolph for Minnesota because you always have the tight ends are always good when you got like a rookie quarterback or a backup quarterback because they're like a security blanket. They misread downfield and they'll go to their tight ends more often than not. A good example of that was last year with Delaney Walker. Had a rookie quarterback in Mariota. He had 96 catches last year. I think the same is going to happen with Rudolph. He's a nice pick this week because they're probably going to go with Sean Hill because Bradford probably won't be ready. He's a good pick. And then I like Dwayne Allen. I think he's ready to prove himself. He doesn't have to trade or he doesn't have to share, targets with Fleener anymore because Fleener's gone, and that's going to be a high-scoring game anyway. I like Dwayne Allen to have a good day. And then Jesse James, the tight end for Pittsburgh. He is playing because Ladarius Green is hurt. Something going on with that guy, and I've watched James play. I watched him last year play. He's just like Heath Miller, man, and I think he's going to have a good day on Monday night. Jesse James. And then McDonald, the tight end for the Niners. He's looked pretty good last year. He didn't score a whole lot of points, but he looked pretty good when he did play. I think he'll have a good game on Monday night. My rankings are on the website. This article and podcast obviously is going to be on the website. I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. We're getting more and more downloads every day. Every week I'll be doing what's going to happen over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about what happened in the past weekend. And then I will do some value picks for DraftKings. I'm not doing FanDuel this year because they're not in Texas. And so if I'm not going to be in tune with it, there's no sense in me doing it. I'll just do DraftKings. And we'll talk a little philosophy on that. But I'll be doing that every week. I appreciate you guys listening. This is Jeff with MySportsVice.com. Tell your friends all about us. I'm out.